Why not?
Got it.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, good day to all you fine people walking around on this beautiful planet. Welcome to another edition of Recovery is Effing Awesome. My name is Robo, and my day of grace is May the 7th of 2010, and for that, I am as grateful for that as I know how to be. Today on the program, I want to thank y'all for taking time out of your busy day to give me a listen. We have two really, really special guys. They're friends. They're new friends. They have a No Street Light podcast. Please go check them out. Tim and Aaron. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's incredible to actually be on here. Yeah, I I love what you're doing. It's in your message. You've been on our podcast a little bit and you've talked I mean we've had probably like 5 different conversations at this point about everything that you're trying to do and the message you're trying to put out, and I fully support it. I'm 100% backing it.
Mike, thank you for having us. It is truly a pleasure to be on your podcast after the amount of time spent with you getting your episode out on our platform. So thanks for having us.
I appreciate being on yours, and in return, now you're on mine. So I guess let's start at the very beginning, right? How did you two guys meet?
Oh,
Well, Tim launched a soccer ball into my groin saying you meet all your friends.
yes. Aaron made a
That's a silly
dad joke
question.
at me. Aaron made a dad joke at me just to discover that my dad had been dead for a couple of years.
Yep.
Um,
Normal
So our
origin stories.
yeah, there's no villains starting here.
Oh, from day one, it was a beautiful relationship blooming into a wonderful friendship. That's awesome. Oh my Lord. Is that really how y'all met?
That is 100% accurate as to how we became friends.
You'll
There
have to
was a
listen to our
soccer ball.
podcast to find out.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
There was a soccer ball. There was a poorly timed joke,
Yep.
and that was it. That was all we needed.
Yeah, then we just started hitting each other
Yeah.
like all small males do.
hmm
Nice. So let's talk about the podcast. So, No Streetlights podcast. What made you guys want to get together and actually start this podcast? And then we'll get into kind of what the podcast is about.
So the whole idea with no streetlights, I think Aaron and I kind of had this same like thought wave that happened where we were like, hey, we've been alive for 30-ish years. We've kind of experienced some pretty great stuff and some pretty awful stuff. Why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, I have
Now
a
I
pretty unique perspective where I've always seen every moment as a learning opportunity, and part of that is because I was raised in AA and NA. So I was constantly fed the Serenity Prayer, taught about taking accountability for my actions, excuse me, and that if I don't track what I'm doing, I'm not going to see the trends. So I have to be paying attention to my thought patterns and my action patterns because habit, character, destiny, we all know the quote. Um, so I've been grateful for the opportunity for a very long time to learn and grow.
So, on your podcast, you interview different people from who have different perspectives on essentially how to be better humans and how to help other people be better humans. Was that was the goal from the very beginning?
Our goal kind of changed. We wanted to learn and talk about what we have learned and how it's changed us. And it kind of evolved into getting other people's stories out there because Aaron and we've realized that our experience and everything that have made us us, like it's unique to ourselves individually. So everybody else's story is also unique. And I want to hear it. I want to learn what they have to teach me or what they have gathered, their wisdom that they have picked up through their years.
Yeah, so the quote that we can't get away from is what we've been through, how it changed us and what we learned. And we realized that if I can condense 30 years of my learning into so far we put out 1100 minutes of content, and that may accelerate learning for somebody else, that's work worth doing. And our perspective and experience is such a narrow scope that we needed to diversify who we were talking to and what we were talking about, because one of our main messages is that you're not alone. We're all going through this together, and that is how we get through it, is together.
And I think that's the big thing that people in recovery, especially, they don't really realize, especially if they're new, that there are people who have either A, been through what they're going through, know what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and how to deal with it. And you have this thing like be the light, right? I know that there's something deeper there. Can you like expand on that? Because I think that is just and it sounds really trite and kind of a silly little quote, but be the light. I mean, there's a deeper meaning there that I think people need to understand.
Mm-hmm. So our slogan is bring your own light. Was it, Tim? Be your own.
Be your own light. Bring your own light.
Tim is bringing his own light. I am being my own light, because we've found that your happiness isn't something that you have to get and bring, or like you check the box. It's something you have to be. Each day you get to choose who you are. And if you aren't in control of that, then what's the point? We're team free will. So why wouldn't you spend your time doing the work that's worth doing?
And that kind of, whenever we thought of the idea of the no streetlights idea, that's something that stems from an inside joke between Aaron and I from years ago. And we just kind of realized the be your own light, bring your own light. It made sense. It fit with what the message is that we're trying to bring out. And there's this, again, another inside joke, Aaron and I have been friends for 19 years, so we have plenty of them. But the be your own light is the official catchphrase or slogan for us. And then there's the bring your own light, which I accidentally say every now and then when I'm telling people about my own podcast. I'm like, yeah, bring your own light. But I think it still fits. I think it still works, honestly.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to go deeper in this, I mean, if I guess bringing your own light is kind of like what Aaron was saying. There's so much negativity in this world, right? And I'm of the mindset that I'm not going to let people, their attitudes and issues affect my happiness and my serenity, right? So if we're bringing our own light, bring that happiness into whatever situation that you're going into. It's I said it before and I said it's so much easier when you just don't give a fuck, but in a positive way, right?
Yeah.
And if you heard the expression, people, they're sucking the life out of me. And my response is, well, quit giving them the fucking straw, right? Because we are the makers of our own happiness. Our situations around us may suck. Life is life, but it's all how we act and react to that. And if we are in a positive mindset and full of gratitude, then, the situation isn't going to change, but our attitude and reaction to that and our serenity level will act accordingly. So yeah. I want to talk about coffee because, we don't drink alcohol. We drink a shit ton of coffee. So Tim, your wife has a company, and that'll be the intro, and I will let you take over from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my wife does have her own coffee business. It's called BB's Coffee. You can find them at bbscoffee.com, spelled BEEBEES coffee.com. She has various different flavors, anything that you can think about or that you may want. If you're looking for just like a standard house blend, then she's got that. Or if you want something flavorful, if you're a fan of pecan pie, or if you're like me and you love pumpkin spice, she has mocha, she has Mexican chocolate. She just incorporated a couple other new flavors, and she's looking to branch into tea if anybody was interested in tea. And on top of that too, Aaron and I, we actually have our own specialty blend on BB's Coffee that you can purchase. It's a Tanzanian blend and it has a delicious floral flavors to it. But yeah, the most important thing about this is she works really hard for this, and she wants to make sure that her work goes past what just owning a business is, which being a business owner is a big deal to me. She is also working hand in hand with a nonprofit called Four Paws for Ability. So every purchase, there is a donation made to Four Paws for Ability. What they do is they train up service dogs for children with disability and also disabled veterans, which we have a disabled veteran in our video call right now, Aaron.
Hello. And on one of, I think it was our first vacation after starting the podcast and getting affiliated with Tim's wife and having the NSLP blend, where I had my dogs with me, and the lady at the counter, was interested in talking about the dogs. And I was like, yeah, they're both registered and stuff because I'm a DV. And even my buddy's wife has a coffee company, and they make donations to Four Paws for Ability. She asked what that was, and I said, well, it's a charitable organization that trains and donates service dogs to veterans and children with disabilities. She said, oh, my son is severely autistic and can't interact with the world and needs constant care. How do I sign up? And I just showed her the website, and she signed up right there. And from that day on, we've been really passionate about, just pushing BB's Coffee to be as big as it can so that we can help change lives the way that we're trying to. Because, yeah, we love waking up and having some chemical assistance to not murder our coworkers. But what really matters is what ends the means achieve. So we wanted to really start there.
That's all. And if you can't get behind a company that does that, I don't honestly don't know where your humanity is. I just really want to fucking go off on a tangent on that, but this ain't about me. So the people that you have on your podcast, we can start with us, right? It's weird how we would probably never have met if it wasn't for one of my daughters. Right. So, Tim, you knew Raiden, and y'all worked together in the military. And then I guess she had mentioned that I have a podcast, and somehow we got connected. And then, I was on your show, and now here we are. And then I got to meet Aaron, which is he's like the Zen master. If y'all watch 13 hours, right? He's like the character, the Zen master. And I'm sure that the guy in real life is probably the same thing. But the people that you find to interview and bring on your show, how do you did you already know them, or did you hear them on another show, or how do you, I guess, find the people that you would like to talk to?
So most of our guests are brought on by me. So if you don't like my podcast, you can at me, because I have a unique philosophy that everyone I encounter is better than me at something, and it's my job to find out what. So that just really humanizes everyone I encounter. So I find out what they're super passionate about and what they're super good at. So anytime something's going on and we want to talk about it, I know a guy or I know a gal. Our first guest was my father, because one of the things that pushed us into this is my dad probably has prostate cancer, and a pretty aggressive one at that. So we kind of realized that we need to be doing the work that we should be doing today, and not saying we'll do it tomorrow. So we talked about how, being open and vulnerable was the way, and what Dad has learned through his over 30 years of sobriety now. So we kind of just realized that we do need to be sharing a more diverse set of perspectives in order to really cultivate the wisdom that we can achieve.
Yeah, so that philosophy that Aaron's talking about, that is something that I've adapted since we have started the podcast. And I have very much enjoyed kind of listening, learning from the people that Aaron he knows. He brings them onto the podcast. I think I've brought on a few people myself. My sister-in-law, I know my friend Katie, and then my friend Leon. Mike, you're my friend, so I brought
Yay!
you on.
Thank you.
I'll
Okay.
take that.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have
So-
to be first as long as I'm included. Thank you.
Well, they say they save the best for last. I mean. So yeah, and one thing too, whenever it comes down to like a lot of the times whenever we're talking about a guest to bring on the podcast, there's kind of like this thought of, okay, but what am I actually going to effectively learn from them? There's a couple of guests that we just recently brought on where they're talking about something I have never heard of in my entire life. So sitting down recording that episode, I'm like one of the listeners. I kind of planter between the listener and the podcast itself, where I get to ask the questions, and I'm like, well, if I was listening to the podcast and they're talking about something called Reiki, what is that? Like, tell me, what is that? That's so
My
fascinating.
parasympathetic system.
Yeah, what the hell is parasympathetic? I've never heard those phrases in my life. That's one word? Shit.
That's a lot of
That's a
syllables.
lot of word. That is a lot of word. So yeah, I've been enjoying the fact that I get to not only host this podcast and learn alongside Aaron, but I also get to bring that sense of discovery to our listeners.
So, and they can find you anywhere, right? I know that you guys have a Facebook page.
Yep.
I'm old school. I still have Facebook. So where else can they find you if they want to go listen? And you guys should go listen.
If you look up the most common social media platforms, Instagram, X, Facebook, you'll find us all on there. We're on Spotify, where you'll be able to listen to our entire podcast, our entire library for free, as well as Apple, Google Podcasts, various other ones. Like I can't think of what their top. What was that one we just got, Aaron? iHeartRadio.
We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Pandora. You told me we're on YouTube Music, but I just had somebody search for us there and couldn't find us. So I might have to take quarrel with you after this call.
That's fine, because I'm gonna have to figure that out too. I think we got approved for YouTube. I don't know if we're actually made it there yet.
Okay.
But yeah, you name it, we're pretty much there. Like,
if you can't find us somewhere, reach out to us so that we can get there.
So do you guys
absolutely.
So you guys don't have a YouTube channel yet?
No. Technically, yes. Well, we do, but we don't know if there's anything on it yet.
Okay.
That has to be verified.
Okay. And you guys are on season 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So so from season 1, was there, or at the conclusion of season 1, was there anything that you wanted to do differently in season 2, or was it kind of just the same, but get a little maybe deeper and different and deeper, and I guess more personal, more vulnerable subjects?
I think a little bit of both, but mostly the first. So our season, what differentiates between season 1 to season 2 for us was the quality of project we put out. Quality, or season 1, we consider the entire 16 episode season to be our pilot season, where we had to learn how to record audio and learn how to get guests on there and learn how to even be a host on a podcast. You know, a lot of people think you just turn on a mic and you start talking, and you know, for some people it does come easy, but Aaron and I have a tendency to go off on tangents, and the next thing you know, we're talking about Magic the Gathering, and we've lost our entire audience.
Yep. So season 2 was coming to the table with a fully completed thing that presents as a podcast. Season 1 was the pilot. Season 2 is, we know what we're doing. If you want to hear what we're about, this is it. If you want to go back to season 1 for the lore, please do, because there's a ton of great stuff in there. It'll revolutionize the way you sing your ABCs. It'll absolutely change the way you orgasm. It'll change the way you interact with children. I'm sorry that I put those two right next to each other, but that's how they work chronologically. So,
yeah, we didn't really think about that when we planned that out.
But then season 2, we said, hey, if we're going to see these seasons as chapters in our lives, season 1 is us figuring it out. and we talked about it and we said, we've got it. We know exactly what we're doing. The only thing we had failed at was recording an episode with you, and we knew that was going to happen. It was just going to take 3 to 5 tries. So we were comfortable with you not being our first guest, but being wherever the recording ended up. So season 2 is just us presenting something that can stand up and go toe to toe with Crime Junkies or Dungeons and Daddies or Dark Arenas or any of the other big podcasts.
Okay, so the next and obvious question I have is, where do you want to take this? Like, what, I don't want to say what the end goal is, because we should never have an end goal, but where do you see this going in the future? Where, or better yet, where would you guys like to take this podcast in the future?
I think the easiest way to describe that is we want to push forward. We want to create. So we've started pushing out knowledge to help people learn how to heal themselves and deal with the traumas and generational traumas and how to grow from being a person into a human. I'm stealing that from Aaron in case anybody else is wondering. So that's his phrase. But we really want to push towards more of a holistic healing experience. So right now we're affecting people in the sense of they can hear us, they can listen to us. But I think we want to push further to some point where we're able to physically affect them. And I think Aaron can speak a little bit more on this.
So we do have plans in the works. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. Where is this going? It's going worldwide. We will be as big as Crime Junkies, Dungeons and Daddies, Joe Rogan Experience, because we're going to keep doing this, and it is good karma. So the only thing we can get back is good karma. I'm currently working with a number of partners to realize like having a nonprofit holistic healing center. And we're going to kind of focus that around West Virginia since that's where we're from, and we want to heal the root as well as the tree. So the goal is, a complete Buddhaverse and enlightened society, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, we're here to help. So we're going to keep talking to people about how we can be better every single day until there's no more work left to be done. So I pray for the day that I get to fully retire, but I don't, I believe that I'll have work for at least the rest of my life.
I love that.
We're going to be passing this project on to somebody else to keep going. Right now we're planting the seeds to the trees that we may never get to witness.
I love that, because our goal as humans, right, is one human being helping another, period, right, and all that other minutia that we're told that we're not supposed to like somebody because of fill in the blank. It's all bullshit. We're human beings, and at that very basic level, we should have their respect. All right, this thing's fixing to cut off in about 4 minutes, so we're going to call this part 1 because I would love to have you guys back on. And as you can tell, I am still learning how to interview people and conduct a podcast. So we're going to end part 1. Is there anything you want to tell the listeners to give them a little bit of motivation? Let's say that they're struggling with whatever it is that they happen to be struggling with. Life is life, and it'll throw some curveballs at you. Is there any words of wisdom or positive affirmations that you guys would like to give my listeners?
So one really big thing that drove me to connecting with you, Mike, was my history, because I had suffered through alcohol abuse, an alcohol abuse disorder for years, and I have been there. I've seen that. I started spiraling really bad, and I didn't think I was ever going to come out of that. And I sit, but I'm here today doing something completely different than I was 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, I would have been sloshed off my ass on my couch, listening to some dumb video on YouTube, doing nothing with my life. And I feel like I've turned that around a lot. And I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have learned and grown from that. So if there is anybody listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, I'm never going to be able to grow from where I'm at right now, you are wrong. you can and you will grow. Keep pushing forward. It's going to be worth it.
My main thing would be you are in control. When we're fighting with substance abuse disorders, or for me, depression, or any number of things, it's not in control of you. You are. You have the opportunity to not go back to that crutch. Or if, for example, I was failing at relationships, so I started reading books. And I know that's how you catch the gay, but I caught my wife that way. So maybe try books, see if it works out for you. But every second, if you don't like what's going on, change it. One of the reasons that I talk so loud is because I know I'm going to affect positive change. So if someone's in my way, I'm sorry they're going to get steamrolled. So I want everyone to have that same mentality of, if I don't like what's going on, it's my job to fix it. So legalize weed so that people stop using alcohol for numbing pain and start using, CBD, and actually don't spiral down into depressive episodes that we've had to deal with where we want to kill ourselves, because that's not good.
Awesome. Well, boys, I appreciate you guys being on this time. We will definitely get back, have another episode of part 2. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day to come sit with me. I fucking love you guys. I'm getting goosebumps, right? The positive vibe and that positive energy that y'all are spewing out it's incredible. So y'all keep doing what you're doing. And I fully believe that you will be bigger than Joe Rogan. I don't know about Dungeons and Daddies. I don't know any about that other stuff, but I do know about Joe Rogan, number one, right? If you don't want to be the champ at whatever you want to do, you might want to go do something else. And the benefit of that is, if we are number one, imagine the number of people that we have helped along the way.
Yep.
It's fucking amazing. All right, boys. Again, thank y'all for coming on. We will schedule part 2 coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for listening to this episode of Recovery is Effing Awesome. And remember, go check out No Street Light Podcast, BB's Coffee at bbscoffee.com. Don't take that first drink and you'll never get drunk. Be happy. Help another human being today without expecting anything in return. And remember, recovery is fucking awesome.